can stay. Three coin in the house. Woo!
He's a three-coin cowboy.
Please come join us at Three Coin Podcast, The Bridge. Stank.
Hey, Three Corners. Man, do I have a special guest today. You know, I always say I meet my best friends in poker. Well, I was out and playing. Kevin, where did we play? What was the name of that casino?
Thunder Valley up in north of Sacramento.
North Sacramento. And Kevin and I met. We ended up at a table together once or twice. Kevin brought his dog with him. Tell me a little bit about the dog real quick, Kevin. What the dog
I have a little yellow lab service dog. She's sleeping around here someplace that I've had now for about 5 years. She's my second service dog. She goes everywhere with me. And people say I'm lucky because I get to take my dog with me. Well, I'd rather not have to have the dog for the issues that she helps me with. But I'm very blessed to have her. And we support Canine Companions for Independence is the organization that trained her. And we are a great supporter of theirs. And they're nationwide. They have about 6 different campuses across the country where they do service dogs for every kind of need, whether it be mobility, but they started a veteran program, and that's what I came in through was the veteran program.
Kevin, we're so much alike, and can I tell you something? All my isms with her in the room with us, they were at bay. I picked up on her energy. She was so sweet and kind, and I lost my best friend, Pablo. He was a 150-pound white shepherd. And my wife and I would hug. He would get on his haunches and hug us. And I'm just telling you, he just gave me that calmness and the peace that sometimes I can't find. And so it's so valuable the way we do it. And that was another piece of the puzzle. When you and I had a chance to visit, we just home runned it, brother, in my opinion. And I'm so glad that you agreed to do the podcast.
Well, now, it's my pleasure. I feel very privileged to be here.
Well, it's mutual. After you talked, you explained to me about the foundation. Would you just start it from its genesis and then I'll jump in and out? But please, I want to give you this time because it's an organization that's so worthy of a contribution for what you represent. And I already told you, the Three Coin Foundation is going to be a part of this. And I love having your foundation part of my Three Coin give to. So let's move forward. I'm going to back up and let you visit.
Yeah, I guess I should go back and talk about this young man right here. So Joseph Anthony Graves was my son. He was my only child. I raised him as a single parent until he came home from high school one day and said, "Dad, I'm going in the Army." And this was 2004. We were just getting into the Iraq War. But he was a sophomore in high school, like so many of these kids, and he felt the responsibility that our country had been attacked, and I want to protect it. He went into the MPs. His goal was to become an FBI agent. That was a very noble plan, but it didn't work out that way. So on 25 July of 2006, and the day that Three Coin and I met, it's hitting me. Hold on a second. It's hitting me. The day that Three Coin and I met was the 20th anniversary that I got the knock on the door from an officer and a chaplain that said, "Your son's been killed in action." Devastating. You have to learn to breathe. You have to learn to walk. You have to learn to talk. You have to learn that you're not in control of anything. I'm a person of faith, as Randy knows. We talked about that. I believe that God has a better plan than I do. And I don't understand it. He was only 21 years old. He was a great kid. He was a 3.8 GPA. That's not great, but it's not bad. He could have gone to any college he wanted to. My father was a professor. We expected that. I thought I'd be looking at college campuses, not Army bases. But that's what he chose. And as a patriotic individual who loves his country, how do you say no to your child when they say they want to serve their country? And I actually signed the papers when he was 17 because he couldn't, through the delayed entry program that put him into the Army. So when he got to basic, he was already an E3.
Wow.
he went on to MP school at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. He was top of his class there, so they sent him up to Benning to jump out of airplanes. Crazy. And he called me up and he says, "Hey, I'm going to Benning." I said, "What for?" "I thought you were going to Korea." He goes, "Yeah, but they're going to pay me $200 a month more if I jump out of airplanes a couple of times." I said, "Go do it." So some of that economic training I'd given him paid off, right? Anyway, he was a great kid. The last thing he did prior to his deployment was come home to be the best man at my wedding.
Wow.
To my wife that I've been married to now for a little over 20 years.
Right.
And he got married to his high school sweetheart. They'd been together since the 8th grade before he deployed. But they didn't have an opportunity to have any children. At the time, I was happy about the fact that they did, because they had just gotten married about 4 months before he deployed.
Right.
But nonetheless, he was a great kid, and he was a leader from behind. He didn't have my personality. That's why we got along so well. He was not that type A, go, go, go. He was more a support from the back end. He was always looking for the underdog. How can I protect those that are less fortunate than myself? And he was a giver, and he was obviously selfless in his service. And he really did become something much larger than himself. And on 25 July of 06, he was on an escort mission just outside of Baghdad, right outside of Sadr City, actually. And they were ambushed. There was about 20 of them there that day, in a convoy. And he was the only casualty, only one injured that day in that. And it changed my life forever. I've been through challenges. Randy's been through challenges. We talked a little bit about that when we were together. Sure. And I've been through some challenges, and I will share this. 6 months, April 1st of 1994, God started to move in my life a little bit more than I had allowed him to do prior to that.
Understand.
And I quit drinking on April 1st, 1994. In June of that same year, his mother called me up and says, "Your son needs to come live with you now." A year ago, I couldn't take care of a gerbil, right? Because I was enjoying life, you might say. And now, right after I got sober, his mom calls me up and says, "Your son needs to come live with you." He was 9 years old. I said, "Absolutely." And he did. And I look at it again as God's plan. He knew Joy was only going to be on this earth for a short period of time, and we needed to spend as much time together as we possibly could. And we did. We did everything together. We traveled to Europe together. We traveled to the United States together. We played a lot of golf together. We just really enjoyed each other's company. I was the director, the youth director at our church. Joy was in the program. It was a wonderful time. We lived a really full life in 21 years. We really did. The interesting part is that I didn't really know what his life was like after 18, because he'd been in the Army. So I learned a lot about that from the soldiers that he served with. And I have a bond with those brothers in arms now that were there the day that Joy was killed. One of them lives just above you up there. I'm coming out there in September to see him. 320. He's up in Crosby, or no, Humble, Texas, up above Houston.
Yeah. We'll make sure.
Anyway, from that, I'm sorry.
I'll make sure we're in the same place. I'll come up to Champage. We'll play some poker.
Let's do that. So what happened then is, like I said, I was in the construction industry, as we know, 2006, 7, 8, that tanked, right? Yep. So a couple years, my bosses kept me on much longer than they should have, but they finally had to lay me off, and I was unemployed. And I thought, well, maybe I should just take a breath. What's this grieving thing that everybody's telling me I should be involved in? No, I don't need that. I'm a guy. I can tough through it. I'm an idiot. And so I found that as I connected to other Gold Star families, and that's what we are called when you lose a child in combat, you're a Gold Star family. That's a DOD, that's a Department of Defense designation.
So you have a support service through the Gold Star family.
Right. There's a lot of different organizations that do that.
Yes.
But I found that the more, and I started going to the memorial services. We were losing a lot of kids in those days. In the 2006, 7, and 8, we were losing multiple kids a day. So California, being the largest state in the union, we were losing a good share. So I would go to these memorial services of other families just to support them and to show honor to their children. And I found that my healing was coming from helping other people heal. So we developed a foundation. It's called Some Gave All, the Joey Graves Foundation. And we started working with other families that had gone through loss in the military. And we've been doing it now for 20 years. And the basis, the real bottom line of that is that I personally believe, and I think most would agree, even the professionals, that if you can't find a healthy path to grieving, you're going to die. And you're either going to die physically, I've watched it happen, or you're going to die spiritually. But if you continue to move without the goal of and understanding you're going to grieve for the rest of your life, I want to grieve. I want to feel pain every day for Joey. He stays alive that way. It sounds funny, but it's true. I cry a lot. I really do. I cry a lot, and I feel good about it.
I cry happy and I cry sad. I cry because I know I'm alive. And crying gives us we have a heartbeat. I think crying is one of the greatest emotions that we have, honestly.
It's the most honest emotion we have.
It really is, Kevin. It really is.
So that's what the impetus behind the foundation. And with that, we have. I know we've. I'm trying to stay humble here, but I know we've saved people's lives. We haven't always been successful. I have 2 very good friends, Gold Star moms, who took their own lives because they couldn't deal with the loss of their son. But that was because they couldn't find that healthy path to grieving. We tried. Didn't work. It doesn't work for everybody. Everybody has to deal with it in their own way. It's not like I haven't thought about it. I mean, I want to be with my kid. Right. But that's not going to get me there.
You have a mission.
Well, and it's in God's
mission.
Yeah, and God's time. I'm here to tell you, He's got a better plan than I do. I did not plan on not having my son around after 20. It's hard to believe. I mean, all these kids he grew up with have kids, and all my friends have grandchildren, and it's a different world I live in.
Well, I've got to tell you. So we met. If I may just interject at this point of our story. I love poker. I love to have a good time at it. I love the people I meet. I love the energy of it. I love how it gives me cognitive strength. And also, too, and you and I both know this, I've got better friends I've met at the poker table, or as many as I did in high school. And they're people we would never run across other than we just have a energy and a spirit. Age, color, creed, preferences, whatever. It does not matter. I came here how I came here, and so did anyone else. So why do I judge? I want people to live the most authentic them. And like you, I figured out I found God at an early age. And through my life, I've turned my back on God. He's never turned his back on me. And that's what I love. And I've always found my way back home. Now I try to live in that home, more successful some days than others. But after the day you told me, and I cut up and have fun at the table, and we laugh and have fun, and people, they accept it, and I love it. I'm trying not to be, disruptive or distracted to a certain degree at the table, but it's
you're not distracting. You're not distracting at all, Frequent.
But the next morning we ran into you, and I loved playing with you. I loved your energy. Loved, your best friend that was at the table with us.
Sure.
And you shared that story with me. What a difference that my energy made for
Absolutely.
you. Can I tell you? That's how God.
I relate that. Let me tell the folks out there.
Please go ahead.
Let me tell them about what happened so 25 July was Saturday, and prior to these kind of major dates in your life, whether it be his birthday, which is right around Christmas, or whether it starts to have an effect on you, and it has an effect on you emotionally, and it has an effect on you and how you deal with other people. You become short. The PTSD kicks in a little greater. And I needed to be occupied, and I love to play poker. I've watched you on TV a million times because I'm so into it. I'll spend my time watching Jeff Platt talk to you on TV, you know. But nonetheless, I needed to be preoccupied. I told my wife, I says, "Hey, honey, would you take Blair, because it's hard to have her at a tournament. I'm going to go up. I'm going to play this little poker tournament up in Sacramento, and that's about an hour and 40-minute drive for me. So I drive up there just because I really need to be preoccupied. I needed to because, as you know, when you're at a poker table, you're thinking about poker. Jeff Platt was 2 seats to my left. Chris was down at the corner. So you're still interacting. And then I'm sitting there and I look over my shoulder and I go, no, it was you. It was 3 Coin. I go, that's him. I said, no beard. Where's the beard? And so I didn't say anything to him though, because there's also a mutual respect there. You want to give people their space. And I had a great conversation with Jeff. In fact, I looked at Jeff and I said, "Did you guys both fly in on the same private jet or what, Jeff?" And he said, "Not hardly." And then I was fortunate enough to make it to a couple other tables as you get moved up. But at a break, God just had Randy standing there by himself, and I went over and I guess it was the next day I said that to you. Yeah. So anyway, I said hi to him. We took a picture together, and that was it that day. We ended up at a table again, I think that afternoon, maybe together. But we were both fortunate enough to make it to day 2. If poker people are watching, you'll know what I'm talking about. We made it to day 2, which means we were in the money. That's really what you're shooting for. Now, you want to win, but you get in the money. So the next day, before the tournament started, God gave us a moment where we were both kind of just alone. Mm-hmm. And I walked up to him, and because what had happened was on Saturday, when I saw 3 Coin and his energy, and I was still fighting that dark. I got to tell you, I don't know if you've been there, and I'm pretty sure you have, but
I have.
When you're suffering with PTSD and when you've gone through some traumatic things in your life, there is a dark cloud of depression that's never too far from the top of your head.
That's right.
And it is very dangerous. It is very dangerous. And I live with that. I pray for to get that away from my life, but it's there. And I was fighting that because of the day. It was the day that they knocked on my door. It was the knock on the door that changed my life forever. And I looked at Randy, I turned around and I said, "Hey, what happened to your beard?" And he goes, "Well, let me tell you a story." And he starts telling me his stories because this guy's great at telling stories. And I said, "Can I get a picture with you?" And we took a selfie together. But that was enough to get me to the next table. That was enough energy that he shared with me that helped me get through that day. So the next day, I just thanked him for that. I just said, "Thank you for helping me get through that day. You don't know it at the time. You didn't know it, but that was a very hard day for me. And you were a part of me being able to get through that." And that's how we developed our relationship.
Well, let me add what that meant to me, because I don't want to buy another day on this earth, but I don't want to waste one. And me, when I found that, and I found a peace against a fight against my addictions, which were alcohol and cocaine occasionally, but cocaine, whenever I did it, there's no half measures. It would take 3 or 4 days out of my life. And I was successful in my life, but that was such a burden on me as a human, and a guilt. And it was from pain in my life. I didn't like the cocaine. I liked that it took what I thought it brings more pain, just like alcohol does and everything else. But I still drink occasionally, and I'm working on that. So, when I get convicted to not ever do that again, which I hope I'm working on, I won't do that again. But the cocaine part, no bueno, because it wasn't the cocaine, it's the hurt. Part of my deal with what, and I love it when God tells me, stop what you're doing and tell your story. Someone needs your energy that I've given you. And that you don't know how good that makes me feel when I'm a moron, but I am a child of Christ.
Absolutely.
And look, he used to bother me so much, Chris, I'd go, or Kevin, excuse me, I'd go, dang, of all the times I've got to go over here and talk to this person. I'm not comfortable doing that. And I'd go, what else is your selfish, unworthy self does God ask you to do on a regular basis, but just thank him for his grace and his death on the cross, and to tell people what it's done in your life. So now now I look forward to it, and I almost can make it happen because I need that energy. So I felt so good knowing that wasn't me that loves you. That's Christ in us that loves people.
Well, I'm the confirmation that you're doing the right thing, right? I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Hey, you brought up an interesting point. I remember when people ask me, because I live in a party town. I live on the water here in the Delta in Discovery Bay. I mean, we got 120 offshore racing boats coming in here tomorrow to go 140 miles an hour through the Delta. So, yeah. So, but it's a tough place to not drink.
It is.
But people ask me why I quit, and I say, well, I wasn't very good at it, first of all. But more importantly,
you gave it your all.
More importantly, the pain of drinking was greater than the pain of not drinking. And that's that nexus that I crossed when I was driving way too fast trying to kill myself. I didn't realize it at the time. Drunk, you know. But they talk about this. The moment of clarity, right?
I apologize talking over you. I want you to know, while I've already talked over you, you're in front of me with your sobriety, and your story will help me win that battle. I promise you.
Well, it's been 32 years and no desire anymore. But you know, there's a lot of pain. It's like what you talk. It's the pain behind it. It's not it, right? It's
nothing to do with it. It's the pain.
It's the pain behind it. And I listen, 4 months after I got sober, you know, if anybody wants to go to my website, somegaveall.us, make sure it's .us, you'll see a video there called My Gift from God. And my son came to live with me 4 months later, and that's what I needed.
For that win, because your son needed you, and you weren't, and so he gave you a prelude to it. That's what God's grace and glory is.
Yeah.
It puts us ready. We'll just give up and let him, not give up, but let him use our strength that he gave us.
Yeah. And I don't want to make this whole thing about prophesizing and all that, but God is a big part of both of our lives. And so we can't ignore that. And also, you know, there is that Great Commission. We are to talk about our faith when we have an opportunity. But it's, everybody needs to find it on their own. And I would encourage people to walk through open doors. That's all I can tell you, because there's a reason that door's open.
Same page. And I'll tell you what, I am a sinner. I've sinned today, but I will tell you, I have a conviction to get better every day. Leave it better than I found it. And I only have that conviction because it makes me happy. I'm a selfish son of a gun, and having someone else that cares about me eternally. And you can be church, you can be whatever you want to. I don't give a damn. I'm telling you, if you want some peace in your life, find something bigger than your own self.
Right.
And thank God I went to God. And it's been so easy. So you
cracked me up, because my deal, we say the same thing in different words. My deal is I pray to God that I sin less today than I did yesterday. I'm not always successful at it.
Same story.
But that's my prayer, is that I sin less today than I did yesterday.
I sure like myself better when I know that I made somebody happier than myself. And the people that love us on this earth are happy that we're doing better. And that makes me as happy as anything else. Because I know in your addiction and mine, I didn't care. I did not freaking care. Put me out of my damn misery. I'm not suicidal, but I didn't care. I had children and people that made me want to be better. And thank God for that. Thank God for 2 parents. Thank God for my children. Because some days, that's all I cared about, is people that cared about me, and I didn't want to hurt them anymore. So that got me through those kind of days.
Right. Well, and let's face it, Randy, we're both blessed that we're still here, because the 100%. Things we did in our lives did not warrant this kind of a future. We were not making decisions that would get us to that. But that kind of brings me back to the foundation and for what Joey has done for me. I say that I'm a better man today because of his sacrifice, and I wasn't a bad guy.
No, I get it.
But I'm so much better today because of what I do for so many other people and through our foundation. And again, it comes from that, where you get your energy knowing that you've helped somebody. It's the same thing for us in the foundation. We get our healing from helping other people heal, because you've got to be able to, especially in our environment, the Gold Star environment, you have to be able to find that healthy path to grieving. You have to accept that you're going to grieve for the rest of now, my mom, I think we talked about this on the phone yesterday. My mom was 96, died a year and a half ago. I miss her terribly because I was her caretaker. She had dementia. I was the only one she knew. I saw her 3 to 4 times a week. And I miss her terribly, but it's not the same grieving as losing your son, because it's not natural for a parent to outlive their child. And my mom, I outlived my mom. She tried to outlive me at 96, and I shouldn't be here right now. But I'm just talking about how the loss of a child is so much. I don't want anybody to know how I feel. You know, I don't want anybody to have to experience the pain. So what happens to a person like myself? You guys have probably picked up, I'm pretty type A personality. I'm pretty go. I'm of senior age. I can play in the seniors and the super seniors. I'm overqualified. But I still have a lot of energy, and that's kind of my personality. It's hard to channel that in a way that's positive and that makes a difference. And that's really what we try to do with other families that maybe don't quite get that or don't understand that or just need the support. So we provide venues, whether it be axe throwing or whether it be whitewater rafting or whether it just be a dinner together. We provide venues where these families can come together. It's the same theory of vets helping vets, Gold Stars helping Gold. Nobody else knows how we feel. And I even will go up to a Gold Star dad, and it's my thing. I'm a dad, so I kind of relate better to that than maybe to the moms. But I'll go up to him and I can put my hands on his shoulder and say, "Listen, I'm not going to claim to know exactly how you feel, but I got a pretty good idea. And if you need to talk to somebody else that understands how you feel, I'm there for you."
Love it.
And that's what we try to do with our foundation. And we just lost another 11. I'm not going to get political about this because I refuse to. And I'm a very patriotic guy. Let's just leave it at that. And I don't get the briefings. I don't get the security briefings. I don't get I don't have national advisors giving me. So I don't know the details. So I don't second guess all these decisions like tends to be the case a lot of times now. And that's pretty absurd when you think of the fact that my son, so in 2007, I go back to Washington, D.C. as a guest of an organization to talk about how Congress was failing to arm they weren't giving them the upgraded MRAPs, and they weren't giving them IBAs, and they weren't, because it was political. George Bush was in office and it was a Democratic Congress, right? So I was invited to go back, and I gave a speech on the mall. It was pretty cool.
I love that.
People out there. Joe had only been gone for about a year. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was stumbling. I was still learning to walk. But that night, I get a phone call from the White House. Said, "Are you going to be around on Tuesday?" And I said, "Well, no, actually, I go home on Sunday night." "Well, couldn't you be around on Tuesday?" And I said, "Well, I guess so." And I'm a little slow on the uptake on this stuff sometimes. This is early on. I'm not so slow anymore, but I was slow.
You're getting an
He
invite.
said, "Well, we'd like to invite you to the White House on Tuesday morning." And I went, "Oh, well, let me see what I can do. Let me ask you this. Will President Bush be there?" And she starts laughing. She says, "Mr. Graves, even if I knew the answer to that question, I couldn't tell you that. But it might be to your advantage to show up at the White House on Tuesday morning." Well, I got invited with a group of some veteran groups that were there and some other Gold Star families.
Wow.
And it was a typical George W. Bush breakfast on the south lawn of the White House, picnic tables with red checkered tablecloths, breakfast. It was continental. You got a yogurt and a bun. But the best part of the deal was the president came out and spoke directly to us.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in the front row because we're Gold Star families. And this was early on when there's an organization called Gold Star Mothers of America, and they were getting a lot of attention because they're a congressional acknowledged group, which is hard to get these days. That was back in 1945 during World War II that they were set up. So I'm hearing all these Gold Star moms, and I'm like, well, I was my son's mom and dad. How about a little bit of acknowledgement here, and I'm fighting for attention. And the president gets up and he says, I want to thank the people from this and the people and all the Gold Star mothers here today. I'm sitting like 15 feet from him in the front row. I said, and fathers too.
Love it.
Right in the middle of his speech.
Heck yeah.
He looks at me and he points. He says, that's right. And fathers too. And then somebody else yells something, and he points at me again and says, see what you started? Well, that's in the transcripts at the White House because that's the way they do things. But I had an opportunity to spend about 15 minutes one-on-one with President Bush that day. And he cried for my son. He cried, I think, for most of the kids he had to send to war.
Of course he did.
I have my own opinions about him at this point in time, but at the time, it was important for me to be able to meet him as the commander-in-chief. And he took all the responsibility. He sent me one of his challenge coins. It was a wonderful experience, and that was a path that I followed for the last 20 years of
Love it.
the opportunities that my son gave me to be able to make a difference for not in other people's lives, but for other people's lives.
Right. Well, and to your point, me. When I know that I'm representing something bigger than myself, and you gave me confirmation that me showing up and being thankful for the life I've had and who gave me the life, it just validates me having a better day. So you did that for me as well.
I appreciate that.
You really did it. And one thing a friend of mine told me, he went out at the same time your son did. And on Memorial Day, I said, Dusty, thank you for your service. He said, Randy, it's for the soldiers that gave all. I did not realize that as an American. Now, how is that possible that I didn't realize that?
Well, that's why we kind of send out little things. Memorial Day is for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to honor the service members that gave their life for their country while on duty.
Right.
Veterans Day is for veterans. Armed Forces Day is for armed forces.
Right.
We just had the Korean memorial of the Korean War, but Memorial Day is the only day. And so, Joey's buried in a national cemetery here in the Bay Area, Golden Gate National Cemetery, and we put on a service there every Memorial Day. Yep. And we also do the wreaths. You might have heard of Wreaths Across America, where we put wreaths on every headstone of every veteran.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a national program, actually. So if you're interested, people look that up. In your local area, if you guys are hearing this, I don't know what your audience is like, but wherever you're hearing this, there is a Wreaths Across America in your local area. And at Christmas time, it's about the second Saturday in December. They put wreaths on all the and it could be in a local cemetery as well as a national cemetery. And we need to remember. Yeah, I know it's a coined phrase, but it's so much the truth that freedom isn't free. And those that gave their lives. It's finite. It's over with. It's done. But the families that are left behind, the families that have to live with the loss, are still here. And that's where, when you honor Memorial Day, you're honoring us as well as our loved ones.
Something that came to my mind when you were talking about, you don't sit in on the briefings to know why they, put that chess piece there. That chess piece are young Americans. And that's not just a chess piece. But Joey was prepared to be a chess piece. And I know that is such an honor in his memory for you. So he's saying, Dad, I chose this. And you're fulfilling what he chose. And I know that makes you feel you're making his sacrifice worth something by continuing to honor it and to help others. So amen to you. And it's been a wonderful show. And I just cannot wait to be a part of what you're giving to. I'm going to run your deal on my commercial for the Bridge, my podcast.
Appreciate it.
And I want on that a way to, so people can help you move forward with their donations to help people. And we're all such great Americans. We have the best country in the world, and we've taken some hits, but try to mess with us. You can't do it. day in and day out. You
All right.
cannot, you will not win. There's lower hanging fruit in other parts of the world than messing with our country and the way we go to business. So I
And
just
this,
think that
and
Go
it's not a left. It's not a left or right thing for our military. These
Hell
guys,
no.
these kids volunteer. They volunteer. You can hate Pete Hegseth or love Pete Hegseth. I don't care. It's the kids. It's those that have volunteered to go out there and serve. And I'm telling you, I work with them all the time. My career completely changed. I went to work for the California Department of Veterans Affairs. Did that for 14 years, supporting veterans. Because my son wasn't here and he was a veteran. And it's about them. Take the politics out of it. There's people that are signing that blank check every day today.
and continue to.
Absolutely.
Well, I've done a number of podcasts now, and these are what the bridge is about. I want to take good people that are regular lives, they're trying to make a difference every day and leave it better than I found it. And Kevin, you so qualified. I'm appreciative of our new friendship.
Absolutely.
And we have a bond moving forward. We're going to put your information on a reel, on a commercial during future podcasts, and as well as other organizations that come my way that are of this worthy, and that I believe in. And this, you qualify, and so did Joey, and so did all the guys that serve in our the humans that serve in our military. And we should support them more. And I'm glad that you've allowed me a platform to put you out there and what our soldiers, past and present, and our fallen soldiers. So thank you so much. And when I bend my knee, this organization will be a part of that prayer list, I promise you. And thank you so much, Kevin.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad I turned around and said, "Can I get a picture, man?" Because we'll have a relationship for life. I'll shoot you a text when I'm coming out to Texas.
I love that.
We'll try to get together. And thank you so much for recognizing what we do, honoring what we do, thinking about my son, and for who you are, Randy, because you are so much more than what people see on TV. And I didn't know that till I met you.
Well,
I knew what you were on TV.
I hide it pretty well.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, folks, there's a genuine guy right there. And when he gets up at the end of a table, when he's either knocked out or somebody and he goes around and shakes everybody's hand, that's not show. That's Randy. That's who he is. That's 3 Coin.
And it makes me thank you so much. And I just once again appreciate it. And the show's over, but we're not. And Kevin, thank you so much.
It's great. All right. Hey, love you, man. You're awesome.
Love you too.
God
Have
bless.
a great afternoon, and we'll be
All
talking
righty,
in the next couple of days. Thank
Take
you,
care.
bud. Yes, sir.